Have you ever really thought about what happens inside your body after, say, a big meal or a sugary drink? When you've taken in more energy than you need right at that moment? Well, it doesn't just vanish, it actually kicks off this incredible and honestly kind of dangerous chain reaction. Today, we are going to follow that energy step by step and see where it goes. So, the star of our show, the main character in this whole story, is your liver. But I want you to stop thinking of it as just an organ. Picture it instead like this super advanced, always-on refinery. Its whole job is to manage your body's fuel supply, making sure energy gets where it needs to go. It's an absolute master of logistics. But what happens when that refinery gets a delivery it just can't handle? Imagine a huge wave of sugar and refined carbs showing up all at once. Now, your body has these little short-term fuel tanks. They're called glycogen stores. But what if they're already full? Uh-oh. Now that refinery has a serious overflow problem on its hands, and it has to do something fast. To deal with this overflow, the liver basically kicks into emergency mode. It can't just throw away all this extra energy. So it does something pretty amazing. It runs a chemical process to convert all that excess sugar into a totally new substance, a type of fat we call triglycerides. This is the refinery's go-to backup plan for any surplus. Okay, so now the liver's made all this new fuel, these triglycerides. But remember, its own storage tanks are full. So where does it all go? The only option left is to ship it out. It has got to get this stuff out of the refinery and into the bloodstream. And to do that, it calls up a whole fleet of emergency transport vehicles. And these vehicles have a name, VLDL, which stands for Very Low Density Lipoproteins. But for our story, just think of them as a massive fleet of giant fuel trucks. The liver is just frantically loading triglycerides into these VLDL trucks and sending them barreling out onto your body's version of a highway, your arteries. And here's the cool part. This is where it connects directly to your own health. If you've ever gotten a lab report back and the doctor points out high triglycerides, what you're really looking at is a traffic report. It's literally just a count of how many of these VLDL fuel trucks are jamming up your arterial highway at that very moment. It's a blinking red light that your refinery is in total overdrive. So let's just quickly recap that chain reaction. Number 1, way too much sugar arrives at the liver. Number 2, the liver, with no place to store it, converts it into fat, triglycerides. 3, it loads that fat onto a fleet of VLDL trucks and shoves them out the door. And that brings us to step 4. A massive traffic jam is starting to build on the highway. Now, this traffic jam isn't just an inconvenience. It actually sets the stage for something much more dangerous. See, with so many of these big VLDL trucks crowding the roads, accidents are bound to happen. And this is where another really important character enters our story, the LDL particle. Your LDL particles are also out there on the highway. Think of them as delivery vans, just doing their job, carrying cholesterol where it's needed. But in this gridlocked traffic, these big, clumsy VLDL trucks start bumping into them. And during these little fender benders, they force a trade. The VLDL unloads its fatty triglyceride cargo onto the LDL, and believe me, that one little swap changes everything. Look at this comparison. On the left, that's a normal, healthy LDL. It's big, it's fluffy, kind of like a beach ball. It just bounces harmlessly off your artery walls. But on the right, that's the LDL after the cargo swap. It's become small and dense, more like a hard little golf ball. And these are the ones that can get stuck in the delicate lining of your arteries. So this is the whole point. It's not just about having too much fuel on the road. The real problem is how that traffic jam fundamentally changes other vehicles, turning them from safe little delivery vans into genuine hazards. So let's put it all together. The whole process starts with an energy overflow. That leads to a ton of VLDL trucks flooding your arterial highway. This traffic jam causes them to bump into and alter your normal, safe LDL particles, shrinking them down into these small, dense, hazardous versions. And it is these little guys that are the ones most likely to get stuck in your artery walls and start causing problems. So you see, triglycerides themselves aren't evil. They're just fuel. The problem is, when there's way too much of that fuel, it turns your body's beautiful logistic system into a complete and total traffic nightmare with some really dangerous consequences. Which, of course, leaves us with the most important question of all. If this entire problem begins back at the refinery, how in the world do you stop the overflow at the source?